I'd like to be quiet there, please, while this recording. Thanks, Jane. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Cycling and Walking Subcommittee meeting of 17 August 2023. I'd like to welcome everyone here, the meeting, and also people that are watching on live stream. Apologies, we have Tim Browdy, Jackie Gurdon, Paul Madrick, Councillor Beard, Councillor Gillett, and the Worship Mayor Helen Lash. So I'd like to move that we accept those apologies, please. Thank John Wood, and a seconder, Jane Moore. All those in favour? Aye. Carried. The declaration of interest, that's been circulated via Microsoft Teams. Each item is not on the agenda. No. And number 4 is the minutes of the meeting. This is the minutes of the meeting of 18 May 2023. I'll take it everyone's read that. So I'd like to move and second that we receive the minutes of the Cycling and Walking Subcommittee meeting held on 18 May 2023.
That's my theory.
Yes, Jane.
On page 8, it's got Melanie Anderson as the CEO of the East Coast Wilderness Trail. That's it.
Page 8.
Got Melanie Anderson as the CEO of East Coast Wilderness Trail.
Not quite right, is it?
That's fine.
And CEO of Destination Westland Limited. So thank you for that, Jane.
Thanks, John. Make those amendments. So, would someone like to move that we accept the that meeting? Jane, Councillor Neil, and also Inga Perkins. Thank you, Inga. All those in favour? Aye. Carried. Action list number 5 is led by Scott Baxendale. Thank you, Scott. Before we move on to that I approve my digital signature be added to the confirmed Cycling and Walking Subcommittee meeting minutes of 18 May 2023. Thanks, Scott.
Okay, in terms of item 1, which is the Milltown Weir crossing, we have the proposal rejected by Andy on it. We've got an alternative route in. We actually should take it off the action list on the fact that we can't actually do anything with it, so just stay otherwise. Item 2, which is the historic bridge, we're still in discussions with NZTA. As yet, I've got nothing further to add in terms of progress. In terms of item 3, which is the access to the state highway, there's a fair amount of work around hazard analysis, creating a hazard register. We are proposing to bring this back to be workshopped. We haven't set a date yet for that. Item 4, Pine Tree Road connection. There is a report due to come back. It actually hasn't been done yet, so we need to progress that further. Track railway number 5 behind the race course. We're anticipating we'll respond sometime this week to the TIF funding bid. We've been on the phones and talking to them via email, so we'll have to see how that comes out. And then item 6, which is the workshop. We've identified a date in September, I believe it's the 11th, you were saying.
21st,
21st.
21st,
Yeah.
I was close. So that'll move forward.
Questions, yeah?
Sorry, I missed the beginning of that. What did you say about the alternative routes for the?
There is an alternative that we put in place. Simon, I don't know if you know the details.
So the high water route is still our alternate route if there is severe through flood. So that process is managed by both council staff and Destination Western to determine if it needs to be diverted. Then the gates get closed and the high route, they go down the hill and across the Trustpower Bridge and then up back to Cowboys Forest that way. We don't have a financial solution for crossing the weirs that practically makes sense. And also, obviously, we haven't got a scope of work to sign for that. The capital program for cycle trail is up for renewal as part of the long-term plan. It's about to be undertaken with council. So all of those projects will be revisited at that time.
And the enjoying access. Question was raised last time about enjoying access and over that
Alternative route, there's no enduring access rights.
There's only one area that two areas we don't have, 3 areas we don't have easements across. So in terms of the alternate route, 3 different parties. So each requires a bit of work. One we know won't happen. That hasn't stopped us utilising it to date. We're hoping it doesn't become an issue in the future. We do have access all the way through Cowboys Paradise, however. It's just across the Trustpower Bridge and the land on the side of that. It's constrained.
Any further questions here for Scott? Thank you, Scott. Someone like to move and second that we accept Scott's report, please. Moved by Edith Perkins and seconded by Tony Frapp. Thank you. The next I'm sorry, get this right. This from the Wilderness Trail, the verbal update from Mel Anderson. Is Mel?
Got a Koto, can you hear me okay?
Sorry, Mel, you were just behind John and Woodhead. Thank you. Where you go, Mel?
Yada, thank you. I'll get straight into it. Pretty much over the last 3 months, a lot of work's been undertaken with clearing culverts. Leaf blowing at this time of year is a big thing. A couple of the big jobs that have been undertaken have been Kamara to Larrikin section. So there was an upgrade of the hill section on the Larrikins track there and resurfacing, and also some storm damage repairs out Milltown Way, along with some safety enhancements at Milltown with the switchback safety rails. Some more vandalism with one of the shelters, and a bit of work around erecting and taking down signage for works, diversions in place around the stop bank work, and also removing signs and bits and pieces where the contractors are working at the dock bridge. Also a huge amount of work done down in Ross section, clearing vegetation and some culverts, and also, as always, as we see at this time of year, clearing some windfall damage.
Thank you, Mel. Any questions here for Mel?
Just one, not on the Wilderness Trail, but I think DW are managing the access to the Ruataku Road. Mel, do you know what I'm talking about? That goes down onto the
It's not part of the cycle trail, Jane.
No, I read that. But is that a DW? Are they?
I'm here to discuss Wilderness Trail maintenance.
It's like a committee.
Not for this report.
Will you be there for the rest of the meeting, Mel? Can I ask you later on in the meeting?
Sorry,
Can I ask you later on in the meeting?
I can't understand you, Jane, sorry.
If I can't ask you that now during this report, can I ask you later on in the meeting? Will you still be there?
No, I'm only here to present on Wilderness Trail maintenance.
So through the chair, maintenance won't take time to ask questions like that.
We could take it on board, Jane, and bring it up at the next workshop. Okay with that?
Yeah. It's been quite an ongoing thing, so it'd be good to progress it, yeah.
Sure. Any questions for Mel? Thanks, Mel. Someone like to move?
Sorry, just before we close out, I'd also like a general reminder put out and noted that reporting incidents on the trail of any issues need to go through proper channels and not directly to the maintenance staff. Anything that needs done on the trail should go through Earl first to actually allow us to do any additional work over and above.
Yeah, thanks for that, Mel. That'll be noted. Someone like to move and second that we receive the update from Mel Anderson of Destination Westland be received. Jack and John Wood, thank you. The next written report will be from Earl Bennett, Operations Manager.
This is just a general discussion, well, a general overview of what's been happening on the trail of recent times. The bridges on the Canary waterways section have been completed. They are getting some wing walls put on and the contractor's there today and they'll be there for the next 3 days, so there's some temporary works going on that trail. The Larrikins Road project that we have planned is it's in final design. We're just waiting for some items back from Heritage New Zealand. The waterways there, and then John Strange will provide those details. The Totra Bridge review that's getting done with WSP, they have said that they will provide me with documentation next week, which is to do with future design of that bridge, repairs, remedials, and about safety and stability of that particular item. What else have we got going on? What else? Well, this year we've done a wide range of things. I'm not sure if the meetings themselves have seen Simon's Wilderness Trail report. If you have, we'll look through that and see what's going on here. We've also done a section up at the Tillman's Dam around the edge of the spillway for rider safety. We've got the walkway along there. We've got some funding. We've got design. We're just waiting on costings to come back through from contractors, so we know accurately what actual funds we need to do that work. That's really good on boardwalks. We've got the viewing platform up there, and that starts next week. So that'll be good to get in place. That's about it. Yeah. Projects going forward, very long term. We've got very small projects.
You may have covered it, Earl, just the section on the at Western Milk France there, that bridge there.
Yes, I didn't cover it. Yes, the washout culvert.
Yes.
What's in there?
Yes.
Henry Adams contract has been working on there, and they should be finished. If they aren't already, should be. I don't actually know exactly where they're at. I haven't been contacted by them. They were going to do with starting midway through last week. I've seen photos, but I haven't seen a final product yet. So that should be open very shortly.
Yeah, that's fine. I've been up and had a look myself, and things are looking quite good. And the metal that we're putting on top there looks really good too. So yeah, hopefully within a couple of weeks, things will be open up there.
Well, I'm still doing a little bit of work on the rock walls, and I think
Thanks for that. Any questions? Further questions? Thank you. Thanks, Al. Would someone like to move that the report be received, please? Jane, Councillor Neil, and the seconder, Tom. Thank you. Sorry, Jack.
close.
Right, I'll get this right. John Wood now will represent the Wilderness Trail.
Just apologies if I moved my notes up and down, just had an eye operation, so none of my glasses really work too well. My pleasure to present our Trail Manager Jackie Erdman's report. She was unable to be here obviously today. Each year we assess the performance of the trail and over the past year, and where practical match it against last year. We take the year as being from the 1st of July to the 30th of June, enabling a full season to be considered. Rider numbers. Overall rider numbers decreased over the last year. The numbers or the counters were recording about a 9% drop. However, the data has taken off 7 counters, one on each section of the trail, and it is noted that some of these sections were closed for a period this year. Mahinapua had a number of closures. Canary Water Race will have also missed the June riders due to the closure with the new bridge. There are 2 weeks of data we haven't been able to download from the Ruatap counter. So, we've got to look at this number in a broad aspect. And drilling down, Jackie has noted a couple of things. Visitors numbers riding full trail remain about the same as they did last year. This figure is shown on the Ruatap counter, which is slightly down, and most riders who passed the counter were assuming that they're going to ride the full trail, and few would ride this as a single highlighted section. The number of local riders will also be much smaller than in other locations. While overall numbers are down, and as some as we've already accounted for, the main areas that were ridden less were the Greymouth area, the Canary Tram and the Hinapua. But noting the Hinapua closures suggest that many of the locals may not have ridden as much as in the past. Looking at the monthly comparisons, with the exception of January, which surprisingly had 1,000 less riders than the previous year, it is mainly the winter months that are lower. The other summer months are in fact higher than the previous year. The Terramaccara is up 13%, and there is no obvious answer to this, although we feel it could be maybe the outstanding food and coffee at Theatre Royal. With lots heading out that way. I know that a lot of local Greymouth people do ride that section of the trail quite frequently, and I'm one of them. So rider numbers, do we have that, Mr. Chairman? We don't have the graphs that Jackie, we have the graphs up?
Oh, no, so it's in the report.
It's in the report, sorry, everyone's got it. Thank you. So total numbers, movements last year were just over 90,000, which is a significant number, but as we say, it looks as though it's down about 9%. Cyclists riding the entire trail were down about 1%, or just under 8,000. And the other figures there show slight falls in various sections of the trail. Rider feedbacks and demographics. The information below is reported from the monthly survey work undertaken on the trail. We have to complete a minimum of 300. This is NZ CT, New Zealand Cycle Trail. However, 500 is desired. Our trail reported 537 responses in the 12-month period, and we are among the top trails in terms of survey responses, which is an outstanding effort. And I think our trail manager should be noted as a great reason for that occurring. Virtually all indicators show that the trail performing above the average for all trails, and the table below on the report shows the wilderness trail score, the average for all trails, and arrows showing if the wilderness trail was above or below. Much of this data aligns with the results of previous years. However, it is noted that the score for toilets has improved, and this likely reflects the improved amenities on the trail. So, all good things here. The other graph there showing bike hire, toilets, it's showing there, they're all up. We're seeing the majority of riders are females, at 59%, with males on 41%, and the average demographic remains older riders, especially 70 plus. Canterbury and Auckland remain the main locations riders are coming from. A reasonable number of riders are also coming from the centre of the North Island. If anything, the Nelson region appears lower than we would have expected. Being within close proximity, would expect rider numbers to be much higher from that region. The economic benefit of the trail continues to be significant. Riders are staying on average 4 days and spending $265 per day. As a ballpark figure, this equates to around $17 million direct spend back into our region. And if you take the IMBI trail multiplier, which I think is about 3.3%, was used, this brings the total benefit to around $63 million per annum. If the figure of 73% of riders just coming for the trail is considered alone, this means over $12 million in direct spend and $46 million total spend would not have come into the two districts if the trail didn't exist. Quite significant. Work on the trust. Okay. The annual forum that was held a couple of weeks ago had over 30 participants and a very good presentation from the guest speaker Shane O'Connor from the Lake Dunstan, Roxburgh Gorge and Clutha Gold Trails. A trade session was also organised for Patrick Block of Development West Coast Tourism. We welcome two new trustees to the trust, Kevin Stevenson and Peter Hines. They were appointed at the trust AGM, so that's good news. In addition to the ongoing planning and communications on the trail, work continues on our new guidebook, which will be finished before the season starts, our accessible ride guide and new website. We're also working with the emergency services to create a map of the entry points for ambulances and helicopters. Interpretative work continues with a panel being created for the Peloton wheel at Wards Road. We've also assisted NZCT with their trail audit. We continue to advise the Grey District Council of repairs required in these sections of the trail. Jackie's West Coast Trail report. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, John.
I'm happy any questions.
Any questions from anyone? Good report.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Sorry?
Is there any marketing going to be aimed specifically in the Nelson area?
Good question. I know Jackie's looking at that and working with Development West Coast. Most of the marketing that the trust does works in the PwC and near tourism, and Jackie's right onto that. But one of the cycle trail operators, I can't think of the name, Andrew Swass, he's expanding his working very closely with the Nelson Great Taste Trail and us. We've got an operation down here. We talked to him the other day about well, his customers are being sent down there. He's had a big increase in the numbers leaving there, but it is a surprise that they're not such good trails up there that they're not coming down here as well. But maybe I could get a bit more, or Jackie could get a bit more information on at our next meeting about what plans to get Cloak and Nelson and the region to come down.
There's a lot of people here have quite strong links going up there. whether it be for school or business or whatever.
Yes.
But, obviously, maybe it's not happening the same way.
It's not far to come. It is a surprise that there's not more.
Any further questions there? Thanks, John. Look, in terms of benefits to the coast, it's great reading. So thanks very much. Someone like to move that to accept John Wood report, please? Councillor Neal and Inga Perkins, seconder. All those in favour? Aye. Carried. Before we move on to the next report from Jack, Scott Baxendale, could you just report on Tim Brownlee's?
Yeah, Tim from Manawa Energy rang me and would like it noted that Manawa Energy have filled in the potholes along the long dam leading up towards the Cafetiere Reservoir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Pass on that, Jack.
Sorry.
Pass on our thanks to you, please.
Thank you. The next report is from Jack O'Connor. Got it right this time,
Through the chair, I'll take that the report's been read, and I've actually included a few things. I know that Councillor Neal mentioned before that there seems to be sort of a large focus on Wilderness Trail, but this is a wider cycling and walking, and so probably something that our district's really sort of starting to get into. We're a bit further behind the Westland as far as the cycling side of things go, but we're sort of picking up on that as we go. The Reshaping Streets Whakatahi Transport Agency submission process that happened earlier in the year, that is actually out, the recommendations from that, and I've noted a few of the links in that around the street pilots, community streets, play streets, the school streets, and the filtering and restricting of streets. And now that's quite significant changes have been proposed to give councils more freedom to actually experiment around making the engaging with the community and with walking, cycling, and just it's probably taking the streets away from the domain of the motorists and offering them back to everybody, which is quite an interesting approach that they've taken around this. So I think as we move forward, I think some workshops coming up, it'd be well worth reading some of those links that you got onto those. Well, that's also flowing on from the Living Streets Aotearoa walking summit that they held. Now, I couldn't make that myself, but I did actually link into a couple of the workshops that they were doing at the time, and there's some good references to that again around our streets and how we can actually make them more compatible for all users. The Lake Runner Scenic Trail, now they've actually received some lotteries funding, and that should actually, I think I put it in Bang Bay, that will allow them to carry on around to Mitchell's from Moana. So that'll be quite a significant piece of work that will be carried out there. Potentially they would like to link that into Kamara. They've got plans for this, well, they'll get this part finished first, as we will do have a preference if we would like to go. And just keeping that in mind, when the new bridge went in at Kamara, a cycle lane was actually put onto that to preempt any sort of further development later on in the piece. Again, the Wilderness Trail Annual Forum, I'd just like to reiterate that that was a very well run forum, and I got an awful lot out of that, and networking around those people that turned up to that was excellent. So well done for Jackie for organising that one. And moving on, just reporting. So the Grey District Council's actually, we've finally sorted out our SnapSend Solve app, and we're encouraging trail users to actually use that so we can then report it back through. Because again, it does get lost a wee bit about where that reporting of any incidents actually goes. And Further up that, we've actually gone to a 24-hour phone service. It's been run off the coast, but we've got links back to, again, that was one of the things that we were finding, that especially on weekends, it was hard to get through any incidents, and that needed immediate attention. So that's something that we're encouraging people to actually just run through to that, and we will look after things. And then finally, again, as we were talking about our streets, and we've engaged with my day job as sports secretary. We're actually working with Greater Council around a play, active rec and sport plan. And it's an overarching view, because what we're actually wanting is that everybody within council will actually use a lens, play, active rec and sport lens across their decision making. So if we put in a subdivision looking at how that recreational side of things could be utilised, building a bridge, is there an opportunity, rather than just focusing purely on the cost of the bridge, can we actually put that cycle trail part of it onto it now? And the same when we're talking about funding. So we're just really trying to spread that scope. Now, if this is, we'll be more than happy to share that plan with the Western District Council to see whether it's sat within moving forward, whether there's an opportunity for them to pick up on that and look with us as well. And good news, there's no cost to council over it. So
Always up for that.
I think that's always an appealing thing when you're standing up and not asking for money. So, thank you, Chair.
Yeah. Thanks, Kat. Any questions here? Andrea?
It's fabulous to hear all of that, and I'm hoping that we can bring some of those resources into play as we prepare for the workshop. All discussions about active transport and supporting those different transport modes in our communities and our towns in particular. I'm just wondering, whether you talked about the recreation coming into every aspect of council thinking. Is active transport doing that as well? Are you thinking, so as you've got a subdivision, are you thinking connections through and within and between, and is that all part of it for walking and cycling?
Yes, it is. Because what we're finding at the moment is that we've done something and go, oh, I wish we'd thought of that, or somebody's seen it happen. The project is too far down the track to actually make significant changes. So what we're hoping is that having a document, and we don't want another big plan that sits just catching dust somewhere. We want it to be an active, relevant to what we're talking about now. And everything is so relevant because, I mean, as we know, councils are changing around the local government reforms, so it's pretty important that we actually get our heads around what the sort of benefits we can make now.
How do you do that if there is no specific plan to direct all of the staff?
Yeah, and that's up to the communication once we've got a plan, because in the past it's only relevant. Sport and recreation was relevant to me, that's all I'd be worried about. I wouldn't be worried about anything else, but now I need to be thinking about this and make sure that it's got a cultural lens over it as well. So these are all new things that we've just got to add tiers and layers that we haven't looked at things before. And I like using the term a lens, just applying a lens across it. Can we actually benefit? Sometimes it's financially, it's not significant, it's not appropriate to do anything, but at least we say we've considered it and taken it into account.
Some of these extra tracks and things include equestrian use.
Sorry, what was that?
Equestrian use for some of the trails are.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's for everybody. And that's what I mentioned before about looking at that reshaping streets. That was, when did the streets become the realm of the motorist? That's what I think when we did the workshop around town. There's quite a bit of that conversation around the speed limits and why the lower the speed, the more engaging people can be. So I think it's actually quite important that we integrate. And looking at the ageing population demographics that we're getting through, that's why those footpaths and streets are more important. We've got an ageing population. Well, that's what the prediction is.
Why is everyone like that? You see that? Yes, John.
Jack, we're thinking about the trail and living in Greymouth. What about thinking about linking the cycleways to the cycle path? You've got schools all along there, and the kids can't get to the trail. I'm thinking about children here, but adults as well. I mean, if you lived because it's its own hope ticket. If you've got to traverse through a fairly busy main street, high street there, are you thinking about ways of cycleways, dedicated cycleways to get to the safety of the trail off the roads? Is that being thought about? I mean,
that's something we've brought up for the long-term plan.
How long is long?
The long-term plan is the next review of the long-term plan is 2024 to 2027. It's actually a 10-year plan, but that works in 3-year slots. So, and that's where this PARS or Play, Active Rec and Sport plan hope to sort of link those sorts of things as significant gaps, probably that I'd call them gaps that we've currently got, where we've got a great facility here, resources here, and we just, again, that connectivity that we're struggling to actually do.
What role does Whakatahi play in putting a cycle lane down Main Street? Is that their responsibility? I mean,
I couldn't tell you that.
Within inside the corridor is their responsibility. So if it's in your road corridor,
right,
they own it and they take control of it. But it's a partnership really with Whakatahi and finding a way to get cyclists from A to B or walkers from A to B without having interfering traffic or not having to come across traffic if possible as well.
You see it Christchurch, what done. Especially at Haven Park, just cut the road in half and big cycling and things like that. So, just,
it's aspirational thinking.
Yeah, I mean, whether it be the horses or the cyclists or the walkers, get them safely to our trails as quickly as we can. But the roads aren't very safe in our town where there's a lot of congestion.
I think that's so important, and it's amazing how many people actually use the cycle trail, the Wilderness Trail, to get from A to B for work or school, whatever. And that's great. It works like that.
It wouldn't it be great to encourage it even more?
More connections into it. Hopefully you can come to the workshop next month. You can develop all that.
Yeah.
You're on the open invite anyway.
Sorry?
I think you're on the invite list anyway.
I think also the comms around any of these changes is really important. I go to Christchurch and I struggle, I don't actually know how cycle lanes necessarily work. I know the concept of them, but when I'm driving them, because I don't have them in Greymouth or there's very limited ones, I need to understand better. And if we're going to start putting them in, then we need to be actually explaining that. Otherwise, people just see it as a new barrier that just been thrown in front of them.
Yeah.
So I think that comms is really important around any changes that we're looking to make, and as early as possible, so that it's no surprise. I think if we go back to filtering and restricting our streets, in the past we've had to do a lot of consultation before we did anything, and all the insights into it, so we knew what was going to happen. Now, under this, you can actually use the change as a pilot that you can then use that as part of the consultation gathering process. So it can't be a forever pilot, obviously, but if it's a 6 or 8 week pilot, gathering that information, if that comes through, it hasn't been passed into law yet, but the recommendations of it, it's actually quite a new approach for councils, a bit of freedom that they possibly haven't had in the past.
I think through the chair, that will be challenged at a local community level. If you want to change, go down a one-way street versus a two-way street and not consult prior to trialling something, be held to pay.
There are good examples of that working. So I know we've had a bad experience, but maybe there's room just to look at.
Yeah, and I agree, and a lot of the other things they're talking about school streets as well, and actually making schools where you can't actually drive up to the school gate. Now that might work in a lot of places, but quite often our street schools are on one road streets.
Just to put school time to the
off time.
Yeah, just drop off time, sorry, yes. And, but it's a consideration that, and weather-wise, the climatics may not be always appropriate to be parking, walking through lots to the school villages, because that does get here occasionally.
Wonder if you could, perhaps other councils have, gone through this process, Jack. Why reinvent the wheel? Find out who's done it well and grab their plan and.
Well, some great examples have been done well. They all come at a significant price tag, unfortunately, and we have to define what's best with us without breaking the bank at the same time. But if there's free money in our NZTA bucket or Kikatau bucket, and we have a business case ready to rumble, we should be able to put a hand up. That's the critical thing, being business case ready to be ready when the funding comes available.
With the new national cycling and walking action plans and plans, they're wanting to help councils. And they've also got the ideas about more multiple ways of meeting things on the ground rather than.
Yellow bollards.
The fading down the white.
Thank you. Thanks, Jack. Would someone like to move that the report from Councillor O'Connor of the Green District Council be received? John Wood moved. Anger seconded. Thank you. All those in favour? Aye. Carried. The next report is from the Department of Conservation, Tony Thrupp, Senior Ranger, Operations Manager.
Afternoon, everyone. I take it everyone's read the written report that was submitted. So the department's found various things around the place. One of the major ones is we're currently doing some construction and resurfacing work on the abandoned train line or the walkway. So that's still a work in progress with the resurfacing, and the structures are either getting taken out and replaced with culverts just for lower bank reasons, or being widened and rails. And just came out of the New Zealand Rides audit it was. So that's hopefully going to go for the Carolinas next month as well. On the Lake Canary Water Race, working with council to support the installation of those two bridges there. We also installed a new bridge on the Wards to Kennedy section. You might remember, if you've been out there, how you had the blinkers on, you could quite easily just go from the grade 2 section straight through the grade 5 section to some people's detriment. So we've actually moved the location of that entrance to try and alleviate that. And then I'll separate those groups of use now, hopefully. We've also supported the council with the installation of the lookout in Hanapua, starting shortly. Just sort of waiting feedback on design and obviously a bit of support for that. Been working on public access, a lot over the Tairua and the Kokotai valleys with new signage and working with the farmer there. So that'll be clearer and a lot easier for people to get up to. Also in the back country, we're doing the various work on structures to make sure we're building it safe. Swing anchors, cable weight bearings, and also we're going to do site for the Brecon Creek Bridge to allow better access up quick. The building team has been doing regional work, mainly on the Lake Belt Shelter down in Fox, and they've just completed the Heafy Bridge approach ramp. Those bridges up there. Option will be on it.
Through the chair. I've been receiving a few riddles about trail section of the Canary Water Race and at Hanapua regarding surface condition. Do you know if there's a plan to do any maintenance out there?
Well, at Hanapua, that's ongoing at the moment. If you want to pass those on to me, I can further go and program it.
Tony, when you're using the Hanapua walkway, there's that long boardwalk. Does that have handrails or sides put on it? I know there's talk about that, I haven't been able to find it.
That's part of a planned upgrade that the council's undertaking.
So that's the price that Earl talked about earlier on, that we're
Yeah.
getting getting pricing out for that replacement for the whole.
Yeah, the idea is it would be lifted in here else.
It was one of our highest safety concerns in terms of our capital program. Just to get
So
that-
that's what they get it up the water.
Yeah.
Any further questions?
Thank you.
Thanks, Tony. I'd just like to commend the work that the department do on the track, and I certainly like to commend the team, like with Earl and Tony's team, how they work together to upgrade and develop the track. You know, those bridges that they've been working on. You know, some of the operators and people that use the track will report back to me saying how good the track is. So you guys do a fantastic job. It's a very good partnership that you have there, and you know, keep it up. Good work. Well done. Would someone like to move that we receive a written report from Tony Thrupp, Councillor Neil, and Amy Perkins? All those in favour? Aye, carried. Next report is from the Outdoor Access Commission, and that will be from Inga Perkins. Thank you, Inga.
Thank you very much. You've got my brief report, and I just thought I'd just highlight a couple of things. One of them is the workshop, which is wonderful. Thanks so much for organising that, Simon, and if I can help with material or content or planning, whatever, I'd be very happy to. And just as a reminder, that's for the enhancing walking and cycling as a mode of transport. And why not? Equestrian, railways or wherever, but alternative means of transport to vehicles. Simon also mentioned that the check that we have signed up to the International Charter for Walking when Dr. Rod Tolley was here last time. So it'd be good to revisit that at the workshop as well. And as I mentioned before, bringing in all the Jack's resources and Rocketary streets process. We've also got, they're looking for councils to be involved in the pilot in some of their work. So it might be useful perhaps even to bring one of their staff into the video call and perhaps tell us about that in case it's relevant, or maybe I can look into that in advance, but there might be some opportunities for some additional help from Rocketary for the direction we want to go in. Race course, I just mentioned that we've mentioned that a few times in the past as a sort of active transport hub for walking, cycling, scooters, horses, whatever. And although that came up through the reporting in the minutes, it didn't really come through the recommendations and direction forward. So I just wanted to check. I think I read in the paper that there'll be an opportunity for further contributions for discussion.
Further engagement,
Further
is there?
engagement, so that kind of contribution can still be presented in the future.
Yes.
As
There's a report going to council next week in terms of the process. The agenda will be up tomorrow in terms of that detail.
Thank you very much. And I mentioned the cycling and walking national plans from Wakatutahi. They're trying to make a very, very straightforward and simple approach to each of those areas with heaps of overlap, but just really bringing together best practice and best guides for councils and others to be thinking about when they're looking at more walking and cycling in their community. So some really helpful guides. Time is now. All the resources are coming through and we seem to be all moving in the same direction. It's very exciting. And some of those, I've included some of the submission from Helena Nuku Outdoor Access Commission in my notes there, and some of those comments I think will help also in that workshop, just some of the things that we can consider for our community with regard to safer access, children around schools, all those sort of things. So heaps of opportunities and heaps of good discussion, I'm sure, to come next month. And then just just as we were going there, I just thought it's just worth mentioning. I'll just thank you, Jane, for raising the concern about access and the locked gate down at Ruatapu, which I've raised in this forum before, and I've been trying to resolve this situation for over 7.5 years now. So it's been dragging on an awful long time. So it's a little disappointing that I'm just concerned that how do we raise those things in this forum? I think it's relevant, and disappointing that the person responsible at the moment isn't able to comment on that situation in this forum as well, because it's her responsibility. But just in the background, I've been liaising with her just recently, and she has said that she hopes to have an update for me on that on Monday, and hopefully the gate that has been, we've decided a couple of years ago at least, will be implemented very soon. So just wanted to share that there's something happening, but it is disappointing how long it is taking, and very, very frustrating, and that as new staff get involved and take it forward, they then leave and I'm back to square one. So that's just happening with Destination Westland, unfortunately, so it's back to now.
Thank you.
And perhaps also, Simon mentioned that maybe we can discuss at the workshop how that kind of question is raised, but maybe I should raise it through my report.
I think you have free license to put anything you like in your report as part of the committee. If you want to raise opportunities or concerns about some access points, happy to have them in there. Obviously, that may create an action for us to follow up.
Thank you very much. The other thing is just trying to gather resources together before the workshop so that we can all have a read and become prepared for all that street stuff and the national cycling plan and all those sort of things. I'll certainly help to try and get those out to everybody so that we can come fully informed for some really useful discussion then. And I think John mentioned the connecting through to the cycle trail in Greymouth, and that's something that we talked about here with the Pine Tree Road connection, and just making sure that those links are there so that it avoids parents having to drive kids to school and all sorts of other benefits that we've discussed many times. So thank you for raising that as well. Thank you.
Any questions for?
Through the chair, obviously the workshop is going to set the scene for a lot of further discussion as well. I've asked Jack, I don't know if he's actually followed through on it, whether he's got someone to help us facilitate the session from Sports Canterbury point of view. I don't know if you've got an answer for me today, Jack. You don't have to answer the committee anything today either, but it'd be nice to have someone who's been down this track as part of a project to help facilitate and put everything together. Knows a bit about both aspirational and all the actual funding elements, but also has some sort of practical knowledge around progressing these things as well. The idea of the workshop is to have a full open conversation, not a closed, constrained set of agendas, and then out of that pull out the golden gems that we could start piecing together in some sort of program of work going forward. And this may, if we have time, depends how fast we can get this done, but lead into some conversations with the long-term plan as well in terms of I like the idea of what Jack's doing in terms of putting that lens over projects going forward. Myself and Scott were at a conference 2 weeks ago, the LGNZ conference, where Wales have taken it a step further and government has mandated that whole of wellness is included in any decision making of local government. So it's the first prototype in the world that's happening where it's actually linked legislatively, that you must think of the full life cycle 50 years out of a decision that comes out of local government and central government. So it's actually quite a major step forward. It'd be nice if we as a small council can think about that, but the challenge is us is around, if we want to do this, the cost is up here versus a shortcut down here. That's the dilemma we face today, and most councils, I would suggest.
It might save costs later on, so there might be...
Well, it's investing for the future generations is what they call it.
It's not always it's going to cost increase.
No, it's a quick one. But then, like I said before, if there's an opportunity to leverage a funding element, if we can only put 25% up and get another 75% back through a funding application, that's the way we've been doing it recently. One of our TIP applications will link the racecourse up to Bruce Spear as well in terms of that. That application is hopefully coming back this week. And that's a quick win, and our contribution will be done by local volunteers, so there's no cost to council, but a net benefit for the community.
Thanks, thank you. If someone, sorry, you're up, Jane. Someone would like to move that we receive the report from Lincoln Perkins. Councillor O'Connor moved it, and Councillor Neal seconded. All those in favour? Aye. Aye. Carried. The next report is from Liam Anderson, the club president of Westland Mountain Bike Club. Over to you, Liam.
Kia ora team, can you hear me all right?
Yeah, good as gold.
Excellent. I've just got a brief update on what the club's been doing over the last 3 or so months. We've been planning a new entry trail to the forest, which you probably already have heard about, but we've progressed that a little bit, and that John Strange is working through getting access to open some unformed legal road, which we're going through the planning stages of that. We've identified a local commercial trail builder who's keen to build that trail with a digger, so it will be a really accessible trail into the forest. What's the next thing on that? Yeah, and we've had approval from Ngāi Tahu Forestry to use a digger to build a trail, which is really, really good too. We've been working with Signlink Graphics to develop some signage for the entry to the forest, as well as key points around our trail network to help people navigate and understand all sorts of things to do with the forest. And just recently, we've become aware of a celebration, which I think is going to happen next year with 150 years of connection. I think it's kind of connecting Westland to the outside world. And we were talking about this the other day and thought the Mountain Bike Club could contribute to that quite well, and that we're kind of still building trails with picks and shovels, which connect us to different places. And so we've been thinking of some ideas about how we can showcase that, and we've also been thinking about some kind of cycling festival in terms of traveling and connecting places without cars. So that's the update on what we've been doing. Any questions?
Yeah, Inga?
Just wondering about the future of your fabulous trail network and taking the harvesting the trees there. Is there any conversation with Ngāi Tahu Forestry about keeping any of that long term? I mean, the asset is massive.
Yep. We've had lots of conversations about their harvesting schedules, and there's another 10 years before they start harvesting the main areas where our trails are. Potentially in 5 years, they'll start some of the edges, but that won't really impact on our trail network. I think when you look at other places around New Zealand, places like Rotorua, where I think the trail network is far more valuable than the trees that it's into the economy, they still fell forests, and that's just part of it. I think it gives, in that we do lose a bunch of work we've done, but it'll also give us opportunities to build new different trails with diggers and things like that when that time comes. And you know, the whole forest isn't going to be felled at the same time. It's all been planted in cohorts, so we're not going to lose everything at once.
Very positive.
Yeah, it's just the fact of life, I think, of building in a production forest.
I have heard that some of the Rotorua Forest with the cycle trail network, which is 300 or 400 kilometres or something, that they're certainly protecting some of it. They won't be felling it, and they might even look further for more not to be felled. There's a recent, I think it's Scion, the consultant, done a report on multiple values of forestry beyond 60.
Yeah. I mean, amongst the club, we definitely have talked about it quite a lot in different ways that could possibly be done. But we haven't approached anyone about that, and we still have got plenty of time, I think, if there are some avenues.
Anything further? Liam, just in terms of the alignment, you guys have got a plan of that?
For the new trail?
Yes.
Yep, because we've received the the LiDAR that was flown a couple of years ago. It's just become publicly available. So we've been using that to design the trail, which you can, do to pretty much to a meter accuracy. So I've got it on my computer, the new alignment. We just have to go through and mark that out and check it.
Oh, that's fine. I would mind having a look at that at some stage, maybe at the workshop.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely have something prepared for the workshop.
Oh, that'd be really good.
Where is it?
Sorry?
Where is it?
I will find out when we see the alignment. Yeah.
Whereabouts?
All right, so up on up the top there.
I can quickly show you now if I can share, but.
Okay then.
The stick section.
No.
This is one where there's amplification.
Yeah.
Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
So this is Regcox Drive, where stations, then you come up Regcox to the end of the seal. And then there's this piece of legal road that comes through here, which is unformed. This is what we're working through council to be able to build a track onto that and access the Ngāi Tahu forestry here. So this is the existing access road comes up through here, and it's very steep and rough. And so we're going to build a track that comes around the back of this knob here on the southern side and just meanders it up. We'll have a few more switchbacks and winds than this, and it'll end up being about 1.5 kilometres long. And it'll come out at the first high point in the forest. So it's quite a major undertaking, and that's why we decided to get funding and employ a digger driver to build it.
Really good.
Oops.
Thank you, Liam. Would someone like to move second that we see the update from Liam Anderson from the Westland Mountain Bike Club? Andy Perkins moved and second by Councillor Neal. All those in favour? Aye, carried. Would someone like to move and second that we move out of the public, move it into public excluded section? John Wood moved and Jack, Councillor, second. All those in favour, say aye. I'd like to advise that the meeting will be adjourned for 2 minutes to allow the committee to disconnect from Zoom from the open section of the meeting and reconnect via the settings